like if you found the video valuable. Cedar Lane was the kind of street people drove slowly down, because it didn't look like the kind of place where bad things happened. Victorian homes, rose bushes, wind chimes, and at the very end, the gray house with the white porch, belonging to Isabelle Wren, the widow. Isabelle had lost her husband, Charles, 6 months ago. The police ruled it natural causes. But Detective Mara Ellison had doubts. The funeral whispers. Mara had attended the funeral, not officially, just out of instinct. She noticed something odd. People weren't talking about Charles. They were talking about Isabelle. She doesn't seem upset. I heard she refused an autopsy. She's had more visitors since his death than she ever did before. Mara made a note. Visit Cedar Lane. The neighbors, the residents of Cedar Lane, were polite and cagey. The old man next door said he saw Charles the night before he died. He looked scared, like he'd seen a ghost. Was mumbling something about the attic. A younger woman down the street added, Isabelle's garden is always perfect. But she never buys anything. Never leaves. Where does it all come from? Mara decided to ask Isabelle directly. The visit, Isabelle welcomed her in. Warm tea, fresh cinnamon bread, polite, proper, patient. Mara noticed something off immediately. There were no photos of Charles. Not in the living room. Not in the hallway. Only Isabelle, always alone. When asked about her husband, Isabelle smiled and said, Charles and I had an understanding. He gave me the house. I gave him peace. Mara's instincts flared. The missing will. She checked probate court records. Charles Wren had no filed will. No updated documents. But 6 days before his death, a handwritten amendment had been notarized, leaving everything to Isabelle. The notary? A man who had died 2 years earlier. Forgery. Guaranteed. But why fake it if the death was natural? Unless. The whisper in the garden. That night, Mara returned. She stood by the garden fence, trying not to be seen. Something caught her eye. Movement near the tool shed. A figure. Slow. Limping. Too tall for Isabelle. She called out. The figure turned and vanished behind the shed. When Mara searched, she found 2 things. A fresh grave-shaped patch of turned soil. A buried box containing letters from Charles. The letters. There were 12 in total. All addressed to whoever finds this. They described his fear of Isabelle. Her mood swings. Her episodes. She talks to someone who isn't there. Says, he's watching us. I found old documents in the attic. None with her name on them, but photos that look just like her. Different decades. One final line made Mara's blood chill. She told me once that every man who's loved her is buried on this street. The attic. Mara returned the next morning under the pretense of needing a follow-up interview. She asked about the attic. Isabelle froze, but smiled. You can look, detective. Nothing to hide. The attic was spotless. Old trunks, lace curtains. But in one box labeled, Christmas, Mara found something else. Passports. 8 of them. All men. All different names. But the emergency contact listed for each? Isabelle Wren. The final clue. Back at the station, Mara ran every name through missing persons databases. Each was declared missing between 1952 and 2017. All within 10 miles of Cedar Lane. Same MO, same clean record. No remains ever found. Mara returned to the house with a warrant. This time, Isabelle wasn't there. The door was locked, but the shed wasn't. Inside was a body, wrapped in plastic, recently buried, recently dead. Dental records confirmed it. Charles Wren. The truth emerges. The death certificate had said stroke. But the body told another story. Poison. Mara re-examined everything. The quiet street, the fresh garden, the perfect widow. And then she saw it. A painting in Isabelle's living room, of a woman in black. Standing in front of the same house. Signed in the corner. IW 1947. The widow's legacy. Isabelle was never arrested. She vanished, just like every other time. No credit card trail. No phone. But days later, in a town 300 miles south, a woman moved into a cottage near a quiet cul-de-sac. The rent was paid in cash. The name on the lease? Isabelle Wren.